Hello, thank you for tuning in to Sis Let's Talk Leadership. My name is Christy Barnes,
And I'm Melissa Walsh.
and this is where we unmask the myths.
And we own the journey.
Yes, and so today we have a special guest, and this one's actually, I think, a lot special to Melissa and I because he is our first male on our podcast. So we have Mr. Hans Regis of Atlanta, Georgia.
What's up? What's up?
But not the heart of Atlanta, Georgia.
That's an inside joke. You have to be there to jail.
Right.
From Atlanta, Georgia, for sure.
Yeah. So the topic today is why leadership? And so before we get into this amazing session with Hans and Melissa, let's let Hans introduce himself.
Wow. First of all, I'm happy to be here. Listen, sis, let's talk. I'm the first male on Sis Let's Talk. Yeah, this is crazy. I'm humble. Definitely, I know both of you guys for a long time, maybe a little longer, but I've watched you grow on social media. And definitely, I'm proud to be here and humble to get the first call. Guys, trust me, there's more calls for you guys to come. Hans Regis, born and raised in Haiti, moved to the United States in 2000. So I've been here for a long period of time. So I've been in the States longer than I was in Haiti. Lived in Georgia almost all my life since I moved. I'm a respiratory therapist by trade. So this is a respiratory therapist talk, but definitely moving forward, there's going to be more than artists coming on this show, right? Definitely. So, and I worked throughout all the level of respiratory until I ended up in leadership. So let's have this leadership talk.
Yes. And so, Hans, the reason why Melissa and I reached out to you is because we follow you on LinkedIn. We're not stalking you, but we follow you.
Stalking is a big show word.
It is. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah.
We'll take that out.
Yeah.
So, but basically, everything that you have on your LinkedIn is catered to leadership. And it's kind of like we can follow a journey with you.
Yeah.
You speak on things such as accountability, and I can tell that these are things that are dear to your heart and things that you are either going through right now or have dealt with in the past. And so can you tell us why leadership? Why?
Honestly, leadership chose me. I didn't choose leadership. Unless it's very cliche. A lot of people say that. I didn't see myself in leadership. To be very honest. So it all started back at one of the hospitals that we worked together with the three of us. And we knew there was bigger in store for us. And we couldn't stop what I was going to do, full back to school to become a AA, like most of us do.
Yeah.
To go to perfusionist or anything else. I thought, you know what? I'm going to get my master's in healthcare administration. Everybody else saw something in me that I didn't see. They would send me for projects. They would send me to be the lead for something else or to be the super user for something else. And then I just went to school for like administration. And for some reason, anytime that an opportunity came up that had a leadership aspect to it, I kept saying yes. And I ended up finding out I was good at it. Little background story, I'm a musician by trade. To me, my first passion and calling was music. Until I realized that I was second passion and second call. And all of a sudden, halfway through my leadership journey, I realized it's more of a passion than a calling, then it's a job. So now I became really good at it, effortlessly. And that's when you know it's becoming a calling and a passion more than a job is when how busy you are. And I know I followed the you guys too. I know you guys are very busy, very involved in life, but you still find time to pour into somebody else. When it's more than bigger than you, bigger than the person is the vision. It's more about impact than it is about a title. So I didn't see myself as a leader. And the funny thing is, some of my coworkers that we used to be at the bedside together, sometimes when they see my post or they see what I'm doing, they'll text me on the side. I was like, yo, people actually listen to what you say. Oh, this is how it is. But now, halfway through, I'm taking it seriously because I see that there's an impact. I see that what we say, what I say matters. And this is where we are now.
Yeah.
And it's like a very niche kind of area to be in as leaders. And I want to go back to something I learned about you yesterday, where you really talked about how people underestimated you. And, like how people are like, oh, you are in this role, like you're doing these things.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing to me how people really want to trap you and the person they knew you at one point in time instead
That's
of
great.
accepting
Yeah.
and embracing
Yeah.
you were evolved,
Yeah.
right? As a leader, you
Yeah.
are evolving, following you in social media and seeing how you started
Yeah.
and seeing your content evolve has been incredibly amazing
Yeah.
because you're not starting from whoever that person that they underestimated many years ago, right? You're starting from the point of you've learned a lesson, you've had some type of encounter. And one of the things that attracted me so much to become friends with Christy was everything she was sharing was so relevant to what I was experiencing. And similarly, like I've seen some of your posts where you're not seeking out this opportunity to monetize what you're doing. You have literally identified you wanted this type of resource to help you in your leadership journey.
Yeah.
And you're creating it. And it's awesome. But can you tell me more? You talked about there were three of you and you guys were trying to get involved. And it almost feels like, oh, we're feeding off each other. At what point did you decide, I'm going to do this? I'm going to put my content out there. I'm going to lead outside of the four walls of this entity that I work at.
Wow.
I know, I'm so
He's into it. And I think you all could relate to that. Every content, after we press record, before we release it, I got good feeling. So it never gets easy. It's never going to get easier unless you become too say, okay, I just need to keep posting every Monday because when there's a paycheck that comes with it. But going back to being a passion and simply with music, the leadership journey is not going to feed my family, straight up. So that's not to show, like, for me, it's more of a calling to help somebody else, to pour into somebody else. I'm not looking for this to be a mainstream of income. I'm not looking to be the greatest speaker, but I do have a 9 to 5. All of us have a 9 to 5. All of us have somewhere we clock in or something that we all are the streams of income. This may end up being one of them later on, but at this point in time, we am spending more to pour into other people than we are getting back. So that's one. So and we're both very hypercritical, pretty sure, because I remember backstory with this team. You guys took a whole lot of time. Am I ready to come out?
Yeah.
Do we need to press play? Do we need to press record? Same thing for me with every content. I have an accent. You know how many times I re-recorded myself? I said this word wrong. Let me re-record it.
Yeah.
But then again, once the vision and what we do is bigger than others, the content that we put out, the information, let's say that's the content.
Yeah.
It's an information for somebody else to do better. For me, I wish I had this information when I was at the bedside. I wish I had access to this information earlier in my career.
Yeah.
There were some decisions or some mistakes that I would not have made. So right now, it's pouring into people. So that's the reason why we and I do what we are doing now. So it's never going to get easier. I think the day that's become easier, so it's time for me to find something else to do.
Yeah. I think I'm going to take it even a step deeper.
Yeah, we too deep, sis.
Because it's so easy to say, the passion, the drive, the calling, or whatever, but it's really a gift. It is a gift to be able to, people develop. It is a gift to be able to be relatable. It is a gift to be vulnerable. It is a gift to be able to put things out there that you probably have kept with yourself or share it with, only one or two individuals during the time that you were going through it to help someone else grow or to see the betterment of themselves in themselves. And so this gift that we have is so easy to be misinterpreted. And the reason for that is, at least what I found out, is that because the vision that you were speaking of is not usually given to everybody. It's given to us. It was given to me. It was given to Melissa. And you're talking about it was given to you. And we haven't spoken on this yet, but with that gift and with being in alignment with, spiritually, which we're all spiritual individuals, I was actually led to Melissa. I didn't choose her. God chose her.
Yeah.
He chose her for me. He chose her for the podcast. And even when I tried to run away from it, when he initially told me to seek her and contact her, I literally was like, no, because I just met her. She don't know me and I don't know what to say. Like, what do I need to say? And then it just kept happening, happening as in saying, just call her, just call her, just call her. And I'm like, no, I don't know what I'm supposed to say to her. She's gonna think I'm weird. So I literally remember getting on a plane and I prayed before the plane took off. And my prayer was, whatever it is that is supposed to happen, whatever we're supposed to be pouring out into people, whatever this podcast is supposed to be, whatever these ideas are that you're putting in my mind, whoever it is supposed to be for, whomever I'm supposed to work with, like I had to be specific. I said, let them come to me. Let it be easy. Let me know that it's you. Let it work out. I put my phone on airplane mode, took the flight, landed, took my phone off airplane mode. Guess who texted me? Melissa. I literally started crying. Well, because I was like, I don't want to get emotional now, but I literally was like, are you serious? The same person that you've been telling me to contact, and then when we contacted one another, we spoke.
It was match made in heaven. I'm cliche a little bit.
It was. So I say all that to say is that the Lord is always going to send you somebody. He's always going to send you individuals to help you pour into other people, to help you with that gift that you have in leadership. So when we ask why leadership, is so much deeper than that. It's not necessarily that I chose it, because my story was a little bit different than yours. You know, just kept being pulled in rooms and pulled into things and helping people, not even realize I was helping them. They're like, well, you should do this and you should do that. And I also can tell the story of how we reunited. And even with you looking at my resume, and you were like, I mean, you're going to be the educator, but this resume totally surpasses, educator. But, we'll figure out how that goes later on down the road. And here I am. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out, that it goes a little bit deeper than that from a spiritual standpoint. It is a gift that we have, and not everyone can do it. Well, we're going to criticize you for it.
So and if we're going to go to the spiritual realm, we're going to try not to get to the church. But also there's gifted and there's learned.
Sure.
Everybody could actually do this. Because if we're looking at social media, we're looking at everybody else, there is a plethora of coaches, professional speakers, the platform, and that's when you know if it's a gift and if you do have something, that gut feeling. Because if you look at the market, it's saturated. Do I need to do this? Do I need to be on another podcast? Do I need to speak on accountability?
Yeah, am I going to be enough number?
Yeah, but when it's that passion and it's that gift, the learned behaviors, they will actually spew out the numbers, spew out the facts. They have the nice tabloids. They have the perfect PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
They have all the content, but no application.
There's no that. Yeah.
Still just going to drop it right at the table, but nothing actually sticks. But the gifted ones, you could actually turn the information and make it relatable. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, going back to being called and pulled in the room, my first leadership position, hopefully, I think if they're watching, they probably won't know I'm talking about. But anyway, we'll go into that, right? So the day I got rejected for my first leadership position, that night, I oriented the person that was going to get the position.
Wow.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I applied for a lead respiratory therapist position.
Okay.
And the person that I went against, I didn't know that person, applied for the position as well.
Okay.
So before they announced it in the morning, I trained that person in one of those units. They sent that person home at 11, and they announced that he got the position at 7 a.m. when I was on my way home. With every leadership position I've gotten, one, I was rejected at first. And second, they'll tell me, well, you got it because back in the day before DEI was equal opportunity employer, you got it because you were a number. At the end of the day, for those of you watching, if it's a calling, it doesn't matter how you get it. It doesn't matter how it comes to pass. If it's a calling, don't listen to anybody that said you got it by chance, you got it by luck, you're a default, everybody else. It doesn't matter how. If it's a calling, and that's that gut feeling. Anytime that before I press record or press submit or upload, I keep saying I have a voice. There's a reason that he keeps opening doors that I have one and applied for. Or I've thought that, man, this position is way too big for me.
Yeah.
This current position I'm on right now, never in a million years, I would thought I would be in this situation. And it's a situation that before I said yes to it, I said, man, that's a gutsy move. But the way God orchestrated everything else on how I got this position, if I had said no, that would be a slap in his face. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
He opened this door. And then leadership, that's what he chose me. I didn't choose leadership.
That's right.
And anytime I keep seeing, like today, we're recording this, I'm not going to let you know where, but this right here is orchestrated. I didn't see myself here at all. 3-4 years ago, I was like, wow, hopefully I wish I could one day be in this place doing that situation. And next thing you know, effortlessly just keep opening. I was like, wow, is this for real? Is this number? Is this email? Is this phone call I just received? Why? Because they see the content. They see something in me that sometimes we try to suppress because we feel like we're not worthy or there's it's already saturated, but somebody feel like there's something in you that we need to.
I think we've all probably heard that. Yeah. It was just something about Chrissy.
Yeah.
It was just nothing about
Yeah.
it was just something about Chrissy.
Yeah.
And the Lord will send you confirmations as well when it comes to you moving in the will of Him. So we have to take heed to it now. Because it's one thing to pray for it, get it, and then don't listen. And then sometimes He will. He'll continue to redirect you and you'll spin that little hamster wheel over and over again until finally it's just like, girl,
Yeah.
what you doing? So why leadership? Why leadership? I think that all of us have kind of explained, what that means. Melissa, what was your journey?
I really like what you said because I think there's a lot to be said about having the gift, having the talent to do the things. And there's things you cannot fake, right? There's so much that can help support you to make a post or generate some kind of wording or put a presentation together.
Yeah.
But once you are there representing what you've created, you can't fake it. And I was always very vocal that I wanted more. I wanted to do more, much like you. I was rejected. I wasn't even interviewed for my first leadership position that I applied for. I got a phone call saying, there's people that are way more qualified than you want to do it. And they did go with those candidates. And they didn't last. Yeah. Right? There was no depth for them. When someone asked me, like, why leadership? I'm like, because I care. Like, I know what I experienced as being part of a team member. I know what I was lacking. I know the type of leader I want. And something I find myself often saying to my team members is, I cannot be the leader that you need unless you tell me what you need, right? Because we have to be very fluid. We're not changing who we are. We don't change our values. We don't change the core of who we are. But we do have to be flexible to what our team needs. And I do firmly believe that, yes, you can learn skills. Everybody can learn skills. But what you cannot learn is who you are and what you bring to the table and the way that you'll deal with the situation. So different than the way that you'll deal with it. And it comes from our own internal inspiration of how we see the world, the experiences that have shaped us, the things that we do and the decisions that we make every day. Because I'll tell you, and you guys, you both probably can relate to this. There is nothing harder than a lesson learned by somebody that has hurt you. Yeah.
That's not open that box. 30 minutes won't be enough.
No,
let's not do it.
But that is the truth of leadership. We are faced every single day with situations where we want to maybe react to the person, to the situation. But for me, why leadership is, I cannot react that way. I have to be like, hey, okay, let's remove the names. Let's remove the labels. Let's look at the situation and address that. That's leadership. Yeah. Where it doesn't matter who's at the other end of that conversation, what they did yesterday, what they'll do tomorrow, just people are who they are, right? But I do love that you really brought it back to having that innate gift. You can learn everything else, but it's having that gift to be able to carry somebody through a situation, to be able to help them get through that. But I think even as leaders, like I made this comment to you yesterday when we were chatting, it's so great because sometimes I'm sharing something with you. And I said to you, we were talking about a very specific topic. And I was saying something to you that I was saying to myself because it was something I was going through in the moment. And that's what I needed to hear. And it's so amazing when you start to connect with leaders from different areas, because even though we're going through different situations, the core of how we deal with it is very similar. So I think it's wonderful that we get to share in those things. And I think that's the other part of leadership, is that pouring into one another. Terry, I love what you say. Success is accessible to everyone.
Honest. We can all can win. We all can win. And I often say, be the leader that you want to follow. Because that's
True.
that's the simple layman terms, right? Anybody can hopefully, relate to that. If you wouldn't follow yourself, or if you wouldn't do that to yourself, or if you wouldn't want to do that to you, then why would you do that? So it's literally that simple if you think about that phrase in general.
Yeah, but I think it's the mindset.
It is.
You can't always say, no, you're great, but everybody could win, and we all can win together. Is one, you have to take ego out of the equation. Most people can. That's going back to gifted versus talent or learn. Because if you guys have had your content stolen before, it's happening. It's going to happen. Like, let's believe that. But here's the test. But if it's not this, but have you ever had a presentation or something you've said and somebody borrowed it? And never tell you, never tell you didn't like it. But guess what? They can't deliver it the way you wrote it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or they would actually, straight up for me, so since I'm your guest, so I'll take the blame for it, right? I've had so many instances that I've done something, and before I spoke to somebody about it, and next thing you know, they ran with the idea before I did. And took my journey, and that's how I learned to, one, be very about pouring into one another. And that also, as you go to this thing, pray for discernment. Even as fellow leaders, you could pour into one another and say, this is what I'm sharing, this is what I'm thinking about. And next thing you know, you're all learning behaviors because they never thought of a process that way. Yeah. And while you're in here praying, guessing yourself, because, we all could win together. So, that's a good one. And they run with your idea before you. I've had this done to me so many times. But when it says why leadership, those could deter you. I was like, man, this was not meant to be. But then in my position, I was like, if it's gifted, I can do it again. And I can come up with something better. By the time I was like, that was a gut punch. I said, you know what? Because with the gift, it's given. Like, I don't even know how to say it.
Yeah. It's
a feeling. It's a source of a river. You don't know where the river's coming from. It's the gift. It keeps flowing. But with the gift, we need to get the skills. You probably have seen gifted people who are empty. There's no substance in what we are doing. So as leaders, even if it's learned behaviors, skilled, gift, we need to make sure we educate ourselves. That's why we are right here. That's why we are pouring into one another. We had different years of experience from different backgrounds. And definitely, I could learn from women in leadership. So when I was invited, he was like, oh, cool. First male and cis, let's talk. I'm telling you again. But anyway, I wanted to be here because my journey on white leadership is different from you all. Because being a male leader is different than a female leader.
Right.
Right? Because if we're going to having a family, having daily activities of life, your life is going to look different than my life, than your life, based on what we have going on outside of being a leader.
Yeah.
So even white leadership for me would be different than white leadership for you, and for those of you who are listening and watching us, it's going to be different. But like we talked about this while we were here this week, was knowing your why. All those things matter because that's why it's white leadership. So why being a mom? Why being this? Because it's actually only the why part of the question.
And knowing that the why can change.
The why will change.
The why is going to change based on the season that you are in. But you have to, it's our job to self-reflect, be self-aware, and tune back into what that why is. But like I said, when those challenges come up, you have to have something.
There's more challenges than rewarding leadership. That's a different topic.
Yeah.
If you're doing this for the right reason, challenges are at times outweigh the current gratification. because we have delayed gratification and delayed return and payback from this new journey.
This position, this is not something that usually comes with accolades.
Nope.
It doesn't come with, oh, you do well every day. The recognition and what we teach our teams and other leaders who report to us is that you need to be consistent. You need to do all those things, but that does not mean that it is reciprocated or that it's an expectation that comes along with the roles that you have. And one thing that I know for sure was revealed to me, which I think I share with Melissa, is that we are, and that's just we in general, meaning the spiritual realm of anyone who is aligned with God and whatever your gift is and whatever you're pushing forward, you are going to excel. Like you're going to exceed. You're going to reach the people. The right person is going to be connected to you. Whether you have the subscribers, whether you have the likes, whether you have the comments, it's there and it's coming.
It's coming.
But remember that when that happens, there's also going to be the challenges, spiritually, the adversary. They're going to come as well. So being grounded in that why that we were just referencing is what's going to keep us going. And sometimes it may be even more challenges in this season because that blessing is on the other side. The blessing that exceeds abundantly more than we could ever ask or think. So it's real.
It's real.
It's real in these streets.
Those leadership streets is difficult.
So right, you and I had a really great conversation. You shed light back on it. I think definitely worth bringing up is I was asked why is your leadership just for female leaders? Leadership is not a gender device. Like it shouldn't.
I said that.
And I was like, I totally get it. You're right. Like leadership is not assigned to gender. That's not how that works. I agree with you. But here's the problem. There was a gap. I needed something. I was looking and I was searching for something to help me in my journey as a female leader. I'm a female leader. And everything I was reading were from all of these male leaders. And while the strategies, while the data, the content was wonderful, it didn't speak to the struggles that I was facing, right? And something that I think is that women are very held accountable to. We have to lead with empathy. Like that is an expectation. And that's hard. Where I feel like a male could be very direct. Here's the path. Here's, hey, where you need to be, and we're going to jump this line.
Yeah.
And then that's the other thing, right? Male leaders can lead with empathy. I've met male leaders that lead so well with empathy that it is wonderful. But it should be, there needs to be a space for leaders, for people like Christy and I, to come to someone like you. You're one of those leaders. You're a male, but you lead with empathy and you're so supportive and you're just like, go get them, get this done, just do it, press play, just go for it, dive in type of mentality. And I love that because I don't think that this is strictly just for females. I think that there are males that need to listen to this podcast and take something from it and help support their female leaders that they work with. I think there's so much more to this.
It is.
And that's some of the feedback, like you said, like you get the feedback, you hear the things, oh, but that's not for me. That's for females. I'm like, no, it's emotional. If you're open to it, you're going to learn a lot because it might help you in your journey as you're working with females in the environment that you are in. And together, you're going to accomplish so much more because if you understand where they're coming from, if you understand that as a female leader, we're thinking about 42,000 things in our head. If we have to get this done, this is what our day looks like. This is the calendar. I got to meet with this person. I got to look at this finance thing. I got to do this thing. I got to make sure I circle back, up, around, and, do all the things. We got to celebrate this, anniversary. We got to celebrate this. I got to make sure I drop this stuff off at the school.
Yeah.
We got to practice our spelling words. We got to make dinner. The laundry's not done.
It's now you're ending.
That's it. And that's the struggle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where something I shared with my husband was like, it's crazy to me because you have access to all of these opportunities and you've done some amazing things.
Yes.
And I do not take for granted that he is by far my number one cheerleader. And, I look forward to I know we're going to do an episode on that. But man, it makes such a difference to have those type of men, not just to back us up, pardon me, but stand next to us, lead us, encourage us, just be that 360 person for us. So I love that you mentioned that. I love that you mentioned that we need to
But-
create this type of space for everybody.
Yeah, we do.
But if you're looking at it into
Yeah,
it,
we-
right? My early journeys in leadership, my team was 70-30, 70% male, 30% female. That was about 8 years ago. Half towards my journey was about 50-50. Currently, my team, 96% women, right? But if you're looking into, if we're going back to church, where are the males? Let's just look around. I don't know where we at, but we obviously just don't know what's happening, but there is a shift. One, back in the day, leadership was heavily driven by male. We're talking it. Now it's shifting. If you're a male leader, you still think, oh, we have not caught into the shift, something's wrong. Second, learning from female in leadership, there's a lot more we could learn. The fact that I'm leading a team that has 96% or 98% women, there are things that they teaching me that I'm not paying attention to that, right? For me, having a meeting and I have an agenda and I don't have snacks, I don't have the aesthetics, I don't care about none of that. I was like, yo, after my second meeting, one of my team members said, hey, I think it's not landing because so and so and so and so. Just add a few things to the environment. I ignored it. I was like, man, I don't have time for this. We need to get into that.
Yeah.
When I actually applied the little things that they taught me,
Yeah.
my meetings started going better. Or even some of my presentations, they would be very just generic, straight to the point. They told me, hey, boss man, this is in your tone. And the other portion of being
Tone is a whole episode.
so those type of things, even though when we live with empathy, we need to get the point across.
Yeah.
We need to get to the finish line. As two women, you guys have ways to help us navigate some difficult situation. So right now, to be honest with you, I'm okay with women in leadership. My mom is a strong woman in leadership.
Girl power.
My aunt's like, my wife is a great teacher, sitting with y'all. Listen, I go way back from working together to now being colleagues in leadership. And again, my team, 96, and they're a strong, diverse group. And I tell them all the time, all the praise coming from leading a team of 96% women, but I think it's the wisdom I'm getting from that, not the stress. But at the end of the day, no, they're all great women in leadership, and I'm okay with that. And I listen to this podcast, some other podcasts I listen to, and we need to be diverse. So I can't just stay with my bros. No, because we need that soft touch. And where leadership is going right now, it's not do as you told. You need to be empathy. You need to have empathy, work-life balance. We don't know work-life balance. Y'all talk work-life balance. Y'all soccer moms. Y'all see. Some of us are not required to go to parent-teacher conferences. If y'all doing all, it's still leading. So who's going to better understand work-life balance? Who's going to better understand psychological safety? We need to learn from y'all. So no, women in leadership, I'm all for it.
Well, and if you think about it, I listened to John Maxwell, your podcast, and I will say, hey, that's a male podcast.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth talking about, and it's important to share that while it is Christy and I, just because two females are leading it doesn't mean that this excludes anybody. And if anything, I think we shed light on some very high impact topics.
Yep.
And we have some wonderful guests that come and share some amazing knowledge with us so that we can be better. And if anything, at the end of the day, like I told Christy yesterday, it fills my cup. It makes me better. And I love the conversations that we get to have. But
It's been great so far.
Yeah. And as we think about those things, Hans, is there anything that you'd love to leave our listeners with, Christy? That was really good about trying to just make sure that we're dropping some wonderful knowledge, some just sparkles of
Something. Because if they get one thing, then our job is done. So
One thing.
what you say. And if you want, try to describe it in like 3 words. Briefly. Brief. Like 30 seconds.
And that's too much. That's a lot of pressure. Whatever that gut feeling you're having, don't stop sleeping on it. Start acting now. That's it. Let's go with that.
It was really good. She said, let's play. Press play.
Now.
What about rewind? How do you feel about rewind?
I feel it depends. I could rewind it just to fix a bump in the process.
Yeah.
But I'm not starting over.
Hey.
I don't start over.
That's all we needed right there.
I'm gonna rewind it. If I'm gonna run, I'm just gonna rewind it just to move this over. Or if I need, I'm just gonna move a whole different wrong instead of the whole thing. Because somebody said, "Why would you do different?" I was like, nothing. There's not a step in my journey that I would do differently. If I'm gonna rewind it, it's probably I should have applied for this position better. I should have prepared for this opportunity better.
Yeah.
But there's not a situation in my life,
Yeah.
even a lesson, a reward, a moment of sadness, of tears, of pain that I would do over. Because they won't even the person I am today. And that's why when you guys get called for presentation and everything else, you have a plethora of experience to pull from.
Yeah.
Because our lives are just not perfect.
Yeah.
I could literally speak on any topics 6 or 7 different ways based on the lesson I learned. So no, if I'm going to rewind it, just to probably just in a very short color, one aspect, but I'm not starting over.
Well, that's good. You heard it from the man himself, Mr. Hans Regis. We truly appreciate you being here.
I know. The first man on not bad.
All right. Well, we appreciate the excitement. I think that anyone who listens to this, if you can just get that one gem,
Wait. Am I going to get a shirt? What? I don't get a shirt yet?
Oh, yeah. They're
coming? Can you guys turn on them? See them?
They got merch. They got merch.
I'm the first mail. I didn't even get a shirt.
We got you. We got you. We got you.
So let me know when they come out. Okay.
Other things.
Yeah, I'll support it. I'm ready for free. I'll support it. I'll support the thing. Just send me the link.
We'll get right. We'll press play on that.
That's a good one. Press play.
Okay. Thank you so much. Tuning in to Sis Let's Talk Leadership. We will see you next time. Bye.